Level 1. The hatching. You don't choose to be born, you just are. One moment there is darkness, pressure, and the faint vibration of a world you cannot see. The next moment your skull is pressing through the shell and the air hits you like a wall. Hot, thick, smelling of earth and growth and something vast and alive in every direction. You blink. The world is enormous. You're very small. Around you, more shells crack open, more small heads push through. Your siblings, 4 of them, 5. You don't count them. You don't have the thinking for counting yet. You only know they are there. That their sounds are like your sounds, that the warmth coming off their bodies is familiar in a way nothing else in this world is. Your mother's here. She is the largest thing you have ever seen, which at this point means she is the largest thing in your entire world. She moves around the nest slowly, deliberately, her footsteps careful in a way that her footsteps are never careful anywhere else. She is not gentle the way small animals are gentle, she is just present, watchful, a wall of warm mass between you and everything outside the nest. You do not understand protection yet, you only know that nothing feels threatening when she is close. Your father comes and goes. He appears at the edge of the nest and then disappears for stretches of time. A day, 2 days, sometimes longer. And then he is back, moving the perimeter, marking the territory that keeps the smaller predators from testing the edges. He does not linger the way your mother does, but when he is there, you feel it. The whole space feels different, heavier, safer. You take your first steps and immediately fall. You try again. Your siblings are doing the same thing. All of you unsteady. All of you figuring out the same problem at the same time. Legs that work in theory but keep disagreeing with the ground. One of your siblings gets upright before you do. You watch it, you copy it, you stand. It takes a moment, and then another moment, and then your legs understand, and you are walking, tentatively at first, and then with more confidence, exploring the edges of the nest while your mother watches. Days pass, then weeks. The nest becomes familiar. You learn its boundaries, the texture of the ground, the way the light moves across it from morning to evening. Your siblings become familiar too, their individual sounds, the way one of them always sleeps pressed against you, the way another one is faster than the rest, always first to the food, always first to the edge of the nest to look at whatever is beyond it. You chase each other in short, clumsy bursts. You pile together at night when the temperature drops and the darkness comes in thick around the ridge. Your mother brings food, you eat, you sleep, you grow. It is not complicated. It is the best thing you will ever have. Without knowing it is the best thing you will ever have. The earthquake comes in the morning with no warning. The first sign is the birds. Every bird and every tree around the ridge goes silent at exactly the same moment. Not scared silent, not predator-aware silent, but a deeper silence. A silence that comes from something the birds feel in their feet before it reaches the air. Then the ground moves. It starts as a low vibration beneath the nest, subtle, like something enormous breathing far below the surface of the earth. Your mother raises her head. Her whole posture changes in an instant. Not defensive, not aggressive, something else. Something you have never seen in her before. Something that looks like it might be fear. Then the quake hits full force and the world comes apart. The ridge behind the nest cracks along a fault line that has been building pressure for 10,000 years and releases it all at once. A sound like the earth splitting its own skin. A roar that is physical as much as it is audible. A shockwave through the ground that knocks you off your feet before you can process what is happening. The nest depression collapses inward. The ancient trees shudder at their roots, and 2 of them fall, crashing through the canopy, throwing debris across the floodplain. A fissure tears open 20 feet to your left, wide and black, exhaling hot air from somewhere far below, and then the fire comes. The falling trees have brought dry branches down onto exposed rock, and the friction of the quake has done the rest. Flames catch in the dry grass of the floodplain and spread fast, faster than they should, driven by a wind that the earthquake seems to have generated itself. The smoke hits your nostrils. Acrid, immediate, triggering something ancient in your brain that has no name but has one instruction. Move. Your mother makes a sound you have never heard her make. Low, urgent, directed at all of you at once. You feel it in your chest more than you hear it with your ears. But the ground is still moving. The fissure is widening. A wall of smoke rolls across the nest and the fire is coming from the south. And the ridge is still collapsing behind you. And in the chaos, in the noise and the heat, in the shaking earth, and the dust so thick it turns the daylight brown. The group fractures. You run. You do not choose a direction. Your legs choose for you. You run through the smoke and the falling debris, over ground still rippling beneath your feet, away from the fire and away from the crack in the earth, and away from everything that was the only world you knew. You run until your legs give out beneath a massive fern far from the ridge, and you collapse in the shadows, breathing hard, heart hammering in your chest. You are alone. You don't understand what alone means yet. You only know the absence of warmth, of sound, of the particular weight of your mother nearby. You only know that the things that were there an hour ago are no longer there, and that the space where they were is enormous. You curl under the fern and let the darkness take you. You survive the night. You don't know why. You just do. Level 2, the Juvenile. 3 years pass. You don't mark time. Time just moves through you. Seasons, storms, the angle of the sun through the canopy. You have grown, not into the apex predator you will become, not yet, but into something faster and sharper and hungrier than the helpless hatchling you would. You are roughly the size of a large horseshoe. You can run 30 miles an hour. Your jaw is already capable of crushing bone. You have survived by staying mobile, by eating what you can catch. Small lizards, insects, the occasional juvenile dinosaur, unlucky enough to cross your path. You have learned this landscape the way you learn everything, alone, by trial and consequence. You find her by accident. You smell the carcass first. Something large, something freshly dead. Your brain does the calculation instantly. Size of the kill, approximate time of death, risk versus reward. And your legs are already moving before you have consciously decided to move. You come through the tree line, onto a wide muddy bank beside a river, and there she is. She is bigger than you. Not by much, but enough. She's crouched over the carcass of a massive ceratopsian, tearing into the shoulder with focused, methodical efficiency. She does not hear you approach, or she does, and chooses not to react. You stop at the edge of the tree line. Every instinct you have says back away. This is her kill. This is her territory. You are smaller, and you will lose anything that becomes a confrontation. But you don't leave. You don't know why. You just don't. She raises her head and looks at you. Her eyes are amber. Her face is scarred along the jaw from something older. She holds your gaze for a long moment, long enough that you feel the weight of it, and then she goes back to feeding. You take that as permission. You approach slowly. You lower yourself to the far end of the carcass. You feed. She does not drive you away. You are careful not to encroach. You eat in silence, side by side, the river moving beside you, the late afternoon light turning everything amber and gold. You come back the next day. She is still there, and the day after that. It is not affection the way you understand affection now. There are no words for what it is. It is proximity. It is the absence of threat. It is the strange and unfamiliar sensation of being next to something alive that does not want to hurt you, and finding that that sensation is something you want to keep feeling. Days pass. You begin to move together. Not hunting together, not yet. She is dominant and experienced, and you are still learning, but moving through the same territory, sleeping in proximity, sharing the general direction of your days. The loneliness that has lived in you since the fire and the stampede begins, very slowly, to quiet. She is the first thing in your life that feels like something. The herd finds you on the 9th day. The ceratopsian, whose carcass you shared, had a family. Birds remember. They return to the same riverbanks, the same feeding grounds, and when they find two T-Rex on their territory near the bones of one of their own, 300 tons of animal becomes 300 tons of rage. There's no warning. There's only the sound of impact. Enormous bodies crashing through the tree line. Horns lowered, the ground shaking in a way that is suddenly and terrifyingly familiar. You scatter. She does not scatter fast enough. You hear it happen. You do not turn around. Something in you knows that turning around will cost you your life. So you run. You run harder than you have ever run. You run until you cannot hear anything but your own breathing and your own footfalls and the blood moving through you. When you finally stop, the forest is silent. You stand there for a long time. Then you keep moving. Level 3, the adolescent. 2 years later, you are recognizable now as what you are becoming. Your skull is longer. Your legs carry more weight with each step. You have grown into your feet. You move through the landscape with the quiet authority of something that has learned, the hard way, what it costs to be careless. You have not been still long enough to grieve. Grief requires stillness. You are always moving. You are crossing a ridge in the late afternoon when the scent hits you. You stop. You have smelled 10,000 things in your years alone. Prey, predators, rain, rot, the iron tang of blood, the sulfur of volcanic vents. But this smell does not belong in any of those categories. This smell belongs to something older, something encoded in you before you were born, something that has no name but triggers a recognition so deep it feels like sound, like a frequency your whole body responds to. You have smelled this before, a long time ago, in a nest, before the earthquake and the fire. You follow it, down the ridge, through a narrow canyon, across a dried riverbed, where your footprints leave deep impressions in the pale cracked mud. You're moving fast, not running, but faster than you have moved in a long time, pulled forward by something you cannot explain. You come around a rock formation and stop. There are two of them at first, drinking from a shallow pool at the base of the canyon wall. The same bone structure, the same proportion of jaw to skull, the same slight forward lean when standing still. They have not yet heard you approach. One of them raises its head. You recognize the eyes. You do not know how. You just do. The reunion is not loud. There is no charge, no vocalizing, no dramatic collision of bodies. It is quieter than that. It is one of them walking toward you slowly, and you holding your ground, and the two of you standing close enough to feel the heat off each other's bodies, and something that has been wound tight in your chest for years, very slowly unwinding. Your siblings, and then two more emerge from the canyon behind them. Same scent, same structure, same eyes that belong to the same beginning. 4 of them. Alive. You stand there in the fading afternoon light, and the 5 of you occupy the same space for the first time since the earthquake, and the fire scattered everything. You do not know what happened to the others from the clutch. You will never know. But these 4 are here, and they are real, and they smell like the beginning of your life. You stay together that night. For the first time in years, you sleep without one part of your brain on watch. The weight of sustained solitary vigilance lifts off you like a physical thing. You did not know how heavy it was until it was gone. In the morning, none of you leave. Level 4, the scout. The three of you move together now. It is not a decision that is made. It simply happens, organically, the way rivers find their channels. You fall into a rhythm, you share territory, you sleep within proximity of each other. You eat from the same kills, with a loose hierarchy that nobody enforces, because nobody needs to, and you move ahead. It starts without intention. You are faster than your siblings, or maybe just more restless. You've spent more years alone than they have, and alone you learn to read terrain the way others breathe, automatically, constantly, before your conscious mind catches up. You feel the ground for vibration. You read the wind for information. You track the behavior of smaller animals as an early warning system. When the birds go quiet, something large is nearby. When the insects stop moving, predators are close. You range ahead. Your siblings learn to follow your lead, not because of dominance, but because it works. You find prey. You find safe ground. You find water. Your instincts have been sharpened by years of consequence into something approaching precision. The pack, because that is what you are now, whether any of you could name it, begins to operate with a coherence that none of you plan and all of you benefit from. You are the forward edge of it, the first sense, the leading instrument. The world is large and dangerous and full of things that will kill you, given half a chance. You move through it like you own it, because in this corridor of Cretaceous landscape, you are beginning to climb level 5, the hunter. The first coordinated hunt happens at dusk. You have located a hadrosaur herd at the edge of a wide floodplain. Large adults, healthy, fast. The kind of prey that a single T-Rex attacking from the front would have maybe a 40% chance of bringing down. Too much risk, too much energy expenditure for uncertain return. But there are three of them. You do not hold a meeting. You do not plan. You watch the herd for a long time, reading their movement, their spacing, the direction of their attention. And then something shifts. A subtle change in your posture, a slight angling of your body, and your siblings read it the way they read weather. You move. You come in from three directions. Wide arcs, slow at first, then accelerating as the distance closes. The hadrosaur herd planks and splits. Exactly what you needed. The animal you have identified breaks left, away from the tree line, onto open ground. That is your siblings' territory. You watch the angle close. You watch your brother cut the gap. You watch your sister swing wide to seal the exit. The hadrosaur has nowhere left to go. Your brother makes the contact. The sound of it carries across the floodplain. A collision of weight and momentum and jaw force that is simultaneously brutal and clean. The hadrosaur goes down. The pack converges. You stand over the kill and breathe. You have hunted alone. You know what that feels like. The expenditure, the uncertainty, the meals you didn't get. This feels nothing like that. This feels like the first time something in your life has worked exactly the way it was supposed to. You eat together. The floodplain darkens around you. The stars appear over the Cretaceous sky. More of them than you will ever know. Burning above a world that does not yet know it is ending. You do not know it either. You just eat. Level 6. The apex hunter. Word spreads the way it always does in the wild. Not in language, not in warning calls, but in behavior. Other predators begin to reroute. You notice it before you understand it. The corridors you once had to share with other large carnivores become yours alone. Territories that used to require negotiation are simply vacant when you arrive. You are not the biggest individual animal in this region. There are older T-Rex out there, larger, with more years behind them. But you are not an individual anymore. You are three, moving as one, and the mathematics of that changes everything. A single T-Rex dominates through size. You dominate through coordination, and coordination, it turns out, is more dangerous than size. The hunts are cleaner now, faster. Your reads on terrain and prey have become so accurate that the window between decision and execution has compressed to almost nothing. You locate, you angle, you close. The kill is over before the prey fully understands what is happening. There's no wasted energy. There's no failed attempt. There's only the clean, efficient, ruthless machinery of three animals who have spent years learning how to function as one. Other packs of animals give you wide distance. Herds reroute their migrations. Smaller predators disappear from your territory entirely. Not because you hunt them, they are not worth your energy, but because the landscape rearranges itself around apex presence. Everything alive can feel what you are. Everything alive adjusts accordingly. You move through the Cretaceous like a force of nature, because that is what you have become. Level 7. All red. The morning, the sky changes. You are on the ridge with all four of them. The birds go quiet first. Every bird simultaneously, as if something has cut the sound out of the air. Then the insects. Then the herd animals on the floodplain below freeze in place. Not predator aware. Something deeper. Something their bodies feel before their minds can process it. The world holds its breath. You look up. There is something in the sky. It starts as a point of light brighter than the sun, moving with a speed that has no reference in anything you have ever seen. Then it grows. Fast in the span of a few breaths, going from a point to a street, to something that fills the entire southern sky with white fire. The sound reaches you before the impact does. Not a sound, a physical force, a pressure wave that hits your chest like a wall and throws you sideways, off your feet, sending a crack tearing through the ridge beneath you. The first meteor hits the horizon and the world convulses. The ground does not shake, it heaves, a single violent lurch that travels through the earth like a wave through water, buckling the ridge, dropping the terrain on your left by 6 feet in an instant. Every tree on the floodplain snaps at the base and falls in the same direction, laid flat like grass in wind. The sky to the south turns white, then orange, then a deep burning red as superheated atmosphere expands outward from the impact faster than anything alive can outrun. Your 4 siblings find their footing around you. The 5 of you have weathered earthquakes, droughts, floods. The instinct is the same. Stay together, read the threat, move as one. But there is no direction to move. The threat is the sky itself. The second meteor comes from the east. Larger than the first. You see it before you hear it. A streak of white fire tearing across the horizon, trailing debris that separates mid-atmosphere and fans out across hundreds of miles. It hits to the northeast, and the second shockwave arrives on top of the first, stacking, driving all 5 of you to your knees on the cracked ridge. The air pressure is wrong. Your ears are filled with a tone that has no source. Then the fragments start falling. Pieces of the meteors, torn apart by the atmosphere, scattered like burning rain across the landscape, begin hitting the ground around you, some the size of boulders, some larger. Each one lands without warning, each impact throwing a column of earth and smoke into the air, each one leaving a crater where there was solid ground a second before. The percussion of them is constant now, near and far, closing in. One comes down on the far slope of the ridge. The impact is close enough that the shockwave knocks 2 of your siblings off the edge. You hear them hit the slope below. One gets up, the other doesn't move. You stand at the edge and look down, and the smoke from the impact fills the space between you and them. And when it clears, there's only one of them pulling themselves upright on the broken slope. You make a sound from somewhere deep in you, low, structural, the sound of something tearing that was not meant to tear. 4 of you now. Then the volcanoes answer. The meteor impacts have fractured fault lines that were already strained, cracked open pressure that has been building for 10,000 years. To the west, the horizon changes. Not sunset, not fire, something older and more final than either. Multiple points of deep red appear simultaneously along the horizon, growing, brightening, columns of fire and ash erupting upward and joining the debris clouds spreading across the upper atmosphere. The sulfur reaches you on the wind, thick, chemical, ancient. The sky above you is no longer sky. It is a ceiling of ash and volcanic ejecta and meteor debris, the light filtering through turning orange, then the yellow-gray of something dying, then almost nothing. The temperature drops. You feel it in minutes. It is the middle of the day, and the world is going dark. A fragment comes down directly into the pack. No warning. A sound like the air tearing open and then impact. A piece of meteor the size of a large boulder hits 30 feet to your right, and the shockwave travels through the ridge, and 2 more of your siblings go down in the same instant, thrown by the force of it, and when you reach them, one is already gone and the other is breathing wrong, the shallow, uneven breath of a body that has already made its decision. You lower your head to them, you stay until the breathing stops. 2 of you now, you and 1 sibling left standing on a ridge that is cracked and smoking and half collapsed. The volcanic columns to the west have merged into a single mass. The ash is beginning to fall, thick gray, coating the ground and the bodies and the ruined landscape in a layer of quiet. The world is getting darker by the minute. Your last sibling moves close to you. Not a tactical position, not a flank, just close. The way you slept as hatchlings in the nest, pressed together against the cold. Before the world showed you what it was capable of, you stand together and look at what is left of the sky. Another fragment. Smaller this time, but it doesn't need to be large. It comes down at an angle and it hits your last sibling across the shoulder. And the sound of it is something you will carry for the rest of your life, which is now measured in seconds. They go down hard. You are beside them before they hit the ground. You lower your head to theirs. The breathing is already faint. You stay. You do not move. You stay until there's nothing left to stay for. Then it is just you. You stand on what remains of the ridge, alone in a way you have not been since the years after the earthquake, except those years had an end, and this one doesn't. The ash is falling thick and silent around you. Every column of smoke on every horizon has merged into one continuous dark. It is the middle of the day, and the sun is gone, and the stars are gone, and the light that remains is the color of embers burning themselves out. You do not run. There's nowhere to run to and nothing left to run toward. You lie down on the ridge beside your last sibling, not because you have given up, because there is nowhere else to be. The last thing you feel is the ground beneath you, the same ground that held you through every hunt, every season, every year of a life built from nothing. The ash settles over you like snow. The world goes quiet. The last thing in your life is not fear. It is not even grief. It is just the ground. and the quiet and the faint, impossible warmth of a life that was real. 66 million years later, scientists find 5 sets of bones on a ridge, clustered together. They study the site for years, they write papers, they debate in journals and conference rooms and university lecture halls whether these animals died together by chance, drawn to the same high ground by instinct during a catastrophic event, or whether there was something else, something more. They never agree. They never know what it actually was.